Kelly Outen here from the ADN studio, where we continue our summer football preview coverage by taking a closer look at the preseason pick to win the Americans East Division this year, USF. A quick look at USF's results from 2015 would show that the Bulls had a solid season, finishing 8-5 and getting back to the postseason for the first time in 5 years. But when you consider that USF was able to turn around a 1-3 start by winning 7 of their last 8 in the regular season, you can see why hopes are high in Tampa for 2016. Of course, it doesn't hurt that USF has 15 returning starters back, including most of the key performers from last year's turnaround. Marlon Mack was the most reliable running back in the American last season, with nearly 1,400 yards and 6.6 yards per carry as a sophomore. Not to mention, quarterback Quinton Flowers enjoyed a breakout year in which he threw 22 touchdown passes and rushed for 12 TDs. Wide receiver Rodney Adams had 9 touchdown catches and could be poised to become the first player with 1,000 receiving yards in a season. On defense, the Bulls are solid across the board, with linebacker Augie Sanchez shoring up the middle and cornerback Dietrich Nichols returning as a lockdown defensive back. They lead a defense that had 25 takeaways a year ago. USF was the only team in the American to beat each of the other teams in its division last season. If the Bulls are able to run the table in the East Division once again, then USF might find itself rewarded with its first conference title. To talk more about the Bulls, up next we'll be joined on Skype by Joey Knight from the Tampa Bay Times.
We are American. We have the grit to dig deep and the courage to stand together. For us, it's all or nothing. You see, that's power. We are power.
Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in with us here on the American Digital Network. We're talking USF football today and are joined on Skype by Joey Knight from the Tampa Bay Times. Great to have you on the show with us again. Now, last season, USF ended the year a lot different than how it had started. What was the difference in that team from week 1 to even week 5 or 6?
I believe the difference was 2 things. After a loss to Maryland, they had a players-only meeting held by Jamie Bird, who was then a senior nickelback. And the players really just kind of invested at that point. They came together and said, we're tired of losing. We're this close. Let's do something about it. Enough is enough. That and the fact that then sophomore quarterback Quinton Flowers went to Coach Willie Taggart and said, for lack of a better term, Coach, you got to turn me loose. Let me do what I do. Coach Taggart obliged, and Quinton Flowers went on to have a record-setting season as a dual-threat quarterback in what has now become known as the Gulf Coast offense. It turned everything around. The result, as we all know, was a Miami Beach Bowl berth, the program's first bowl berth in a half-decade. And now so many guys are back. Only 2 seniors projected to start on offense, tons of depth, 13 wide receivers on scholarship, 2 very promising tight ends. I could go on and on and on. 1,000-yard rusher, 2-time 1,000-yard rusher, Marlon Mack is back. Very high hopes here in Tampa for the University of South Florida.
Yeah, the offense became a pretty fun group to watch in 2015. Let's start off by talking about Willie Taggart's returning quarterback and Quinton Flowers. He won the starting job last season, and Coach said that he is developing into a leader now as well. How has his game improved since this time last year?
I think this time last year there were real questions about Quinton's ability to throw the football consistently, about his velocity. Those are questions no longer. His ability to run this type of offense, which he ran in high school down in Miami, that's also without question. Very instinctive guy, very smart guy. Just one of those quarterbacks who seem to have eyes in the back of his helmet, can sense when the pressure's coming and can get away from it and make something happen with his legs. Like I said, last year he finished with a school record, I believe, for total offense by an individual. And this year, he is more of a leader, for lack of a better term. Last year, there were seniors all around him, especially up front, in front of him. Coach Taggart said, "Quentin, you're a sophomore. We don't need you to be a leader." This year, there's only 3 seniors projected to start. He is being asked to be a leader, and he has earned and merited the respect of his teammates just by his work habits during the summer. He's taken a more vocal role. He's more authoritative in the huddle. You can see it. His teammates talk about it. So just in addition to everything that he can do physically, he has become a more vocal, more authoritative guy. Quentin Flowers, I think, has an outside chance of being the conference offensive player of the year. Greg Ward Jr. at Houston may have something to say about that, a few others, but Quentin Flowers is that promising.
I would imagine so. You mentioned him, his go-to guy in the backfield, Marlon Mack, a major key to the USF offense. Mack has been a playmaker on the field since his freshman season. Now heading into his junior year, can he take his game to an even higher level, especially with the experience he has around him?
No question. The Bulls have done something you would expect this preseason. They've limited his reps in scrimmages just to save him and keep him healthy. He is healthy going into the season. He meets with his offensive linemen in the offensive line meeting room regularly just to tap their brains into how they're blocking and how they're blocking in certain situations. He's, again, he's like Quentin Flowers. He's someone whom the team looks to for leadership, and someone who's very admired team-wide. And I don't see any reason why Marlon Mack cannot have another 1,000-yard season. He is less than 350 yards from becoming USF's all-time rushing leader, and he's only entering his junior year. 3 or 4 games in, Marlon Mack could have that record. He's a little more powerful. He hasn't gained weight per se, but his upper body looks more chiseled. His core looks thicker. He's had just an exceptional summer, and obviously Coach Taggart and fans have high hopes for a 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard season.
The defense should be in a pretty solid position across the board as well. What will be that unit's biggest strength this season?
Their secondary is loaded. We talk about the receiver spot has so much depth. This secondary has considerable depth from the safeties to the cornerbacks. It's going to be a rotation. And that's something, that depth is something they're going to need because the 4-2-5 formation is designed to try and neutralize spread schemes. And obviously in this conference, USF will face more than their share of spread type offenses. They have the depth to rotate players in and out and continue swarming to the football when teams just try to drop back a couple steps, flip the ball in space, and allow their playmakers to make plays. This is a unit that will have the bodies to consistently swarm to the ball without really missing a step. Raymond Woody, the new defensive coordinator for Tom Allen, who went to Indiana for the same job, he's really changed nothing. It's still the 4-2-5. It's still the bull shark swarming defense. Very smart move to really not tweak anything of note in this whole defensive scheme.
Back at Media Day, Coach Taggart said this team enters the season with a bit of a chip on their shoulder after just missing the championship game last year. It seems like the sky's the limit in terms of this group's success in 2016. Is that what the mindset is that you've kind of witnessed in the offseason?
I believe so. There's a kind of a mantra in football that you're only good as your last game. Well, they lost their last game to Western Kentucky. And that still kind of sticks with the Bulls a little bit, I believe. I believe that's something that's motivated them throughout this offseason. Excuse me, coupled with the fact that there's a lot of expectations on them. They were picked to win the Eastern Division by American Athletic Conference Media. And this is something they haven't, this is a situation they haven't been in quite a few years, expected to win a division. That juices them up. They're psyched up about that. That's what Coach Taggart wanted when he took over the job, for people to start talking about USF football in a positive way again. So being motivated by that, combined with the fact that their last game left a bitter taste in their mouth, they are very motivated to make this an unprecedented year. USF has never won a conference championship in any conference they've been in. This is something they believe they can achieve, they're fired up to go make history at USF.
All right, Joey. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to talk to us today. We'll talk to you again soon here this season.
Thank you, Haley. Pleasure.
Here's a look at USF's 2016 opening schedule. The Bulls will be home the first 2 weeks of the season, welcoming Towson and Northern Illinois. Then it's back-to-back ACC matchups, first on the road at Syracuse, then back home to Raymond James to host in-state rival Florida State. Thanks for tuning in with us here at the ADN. I'm Haley Outen.